Maybe you've been avoiding princess seams because the cup size that these patterns have don't accommodate your smaller bust size, and you find that you have all this excess here and you don't know how to deal with it to match your smaller bust, small bust adjustment. It's easy to do. So if this is your scenario, this is the video for you. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing, and today is about fitting. I've been focusing a little about fitting the bust, and it's something I've been planning for a long time. A few days ago, you would have seen one episode that was about doing a full bust adjustment on a style that has a princess seam. Whether the princess seam comes from the armhole or the shoulder, you can definitely change that, modify the shape, and create pattern pieces that are more customized to your bust cup size when the pattern doesn't accommodate for that. We're talking about a base of a B cup and making that to a larger cup size, and that's just one of the topics that we've covered in this sort of ongoing series about fitting tops, or this area of our body. I have so many topics covered already, and if you're looking to improve your fit, this is really going to help you, because it's not just about sewing everything really neatly and getting your techniques right. I think fitting is super important as well. As a general concept here, if you have never heard about bust adjustments and cup sizes, a sewing bust cup size is not the same as the bra cup size that you wear, because bra cup sizing uses the under bust and the full bust measurement to create the cup for the bust, because it actually cups the bust. For sewing, it's about the fitting the neckline and the shoulders and the projection that that bust has forward. So it's basically about the high bust and the full bust. So it's different things. Forget about what you see on your bra. Just measure your high bust and your full bust, and you'll know what your sewing cup size is. If you have a 2-inch difference, that is a B, and a lot of brands just draft for that. Might not match. You can see how these go up in 1-inch increments. You know, if you see a pattern and it doesn't state what bust cup size it has, they just probably use the standard that the industry uses, which is a B cup, and that is a 2-inch difference between your high bust and your full bust. Maybe you have an A cup, you have a smaller cup size than that, and maybe that's been the same for you your whole life, whether you've lost or gained weight. There's also women that use larger pattern sizes that also have a smaller bust volume in relation to that. Bust volume is not directly proportional to size at all. So this is why I've made this video. For my sewing and for my body, this is not an area that I'm delving into all the time. I never do small bust adjustments on patterns, but this is a sewing channel. I aim to have general content for a lot of people, and I have been requested videos about small bust adjustments for different types of styles. So yeah, I have a really detailed one about small bust adjustments already that is based on just a one-piece front with a dart and how to make that dart smaller and get all the changes there. And now this one is about the bust adjustment on princess seams. Princess seams fit beautifully, and if you are able to just with a few lines and cuts get a better fit for your smaller bust volume, then I think it's worth exploring and practicing, and you can get it done in only a few minutes. For example, this pattern comes in a B cup and you're an A cup. It could even be a scenario where some pattern brands design larger sizes, say from sizes 22 to 30, only with a D cup option. Maybe you don't have that bust volume to match. You know, everyone has a different body type and body shape, so you might sew a size 26, for example, and not have a D cup, and then have all this excess volume, and you might need to do a small bust adjustment and take it down to the B cup that you are, or the C cup. If you are sewing a cup size that is larger than yours and you're picking the size that's going to fit your full bust, it's usually going to give you really tight, narrow shoulders. It's just going to pull up here and be super uncomfortable, and you might think you need to do a broad back or a wider shoulder adjustment when it's actually just the bust not fitting properly. In this case, I'm going to give you an example where I'm turning princess seams from a B cup to an A cup. That means that we need to reduce by 1/2 inch on these two pieces right there, but the major changes are done to the side front piece. And in this case, we're not generating a dart. It's a little bit different. I think it's a lot easier, and what we want to achieve here is decrease the length of the center front to match the smaller bust volume there. It's usually going to bring that princess seam closer to the center, and it's going to raise the bust height a little, which is usually what you need if you're doing a small bust adjustment. In the same case as the full bust adjustment, when you do a small bust adjustment, you don't change the length of the side seam, or you don't change the armhole. That's just going to stay the same, and you can just go ahead and use the sleeve if you have a sleeve there. So this can all be done with a few lines, very similar to the ones that we've done with the full bust adjustment. It's just a little different. So let's see. Here's another set of front pieces, and what we're going to do with this one is do a small bust adjustment instead. We're going going to modify the side front piece and then the center front piece at the end, depending on how that one turns out, so that they are going to match. Again, same with the full bust adjustment. You've drawn in your seam lines. You are very aware of where the bust height is on the pattern right here, and you have the marks to match on both pieces. I find the small bust adjustment a lot easier. You don't really have to generate a dart here because you're not trying to increase a cup size. So all we have to do basically is make sure that this is going to be a nice hinge point right there, and we're going to draw lines inside the pattern as usual so that the seam lines don't change. So in the same way, we're going to draw from this little point up to that one over there on the top, and then from this little dot to the bottom about 1/4 of an inch inward from the stitching line. When you're taking a B cup to an A cup, you're basically removing 1/2 an inch. So from this line that we've drawn, I'm going to draw a line inward that is going to measure 1/2 an inch, because in this case we're not adding paper to the pattern, we're going to be overlapping this. So that is going to be my new adjustment line, and now I'm going to cut in the same way I did the other time, from the bottom to there, and then from here up to this other point. I also want to cut in from the edge to the dot and from this edge to the dot there. So what I want to do now is bring this over and overlap it by 1/2 an inch. Okay, so keeping everything flat, this has a line to the adjustment line that I drawn 1/2 an inch inwards. What you can see is that we've actually shortened this line because we need to keep this the same. So if I draw a line over here, we're going to see that we have this excess length now, and we've made this side front piece shorter in this area, and it's what you want with a small bust adjustment. So the side seam is unchanged. We've just trimmed away that excess here, and now basically this stitching line, if you measure from here down to there, is going to be shorter. Now if you see how much that is, it's about 3/8 of an inch. Here we have our two front pieces again, and we've already made the change to this one, brought it in by 1/2 an inch, did all the cuts inside the piece, and now you're going to see that this apex is not going to match this one now. This one's going to be a little bit higher. It's just the way that everything was manipulated inside, and it makes sense when you do a small bust adjustment that the apex turns out a little higher. So if I align that dot to that dot here and just align the seam lines and just walk this, just follow it along. Basically this bust height here, if I translate it under here, is 3/8 of an inch higher than the original one. So for me it makes sense to take away that extra length that we have here around this area instead of doing it from the bottom, because the fullness of the bust is in this area and that's what we're taking away from. I think we should take the length away from here as well. I'm going to grab a ruler, align the center front to one of my lines here, and draw a line a little above this area. And I'm going to draw a line 3/8 of an inch above from there. And I'm going to cut this and scoot the pattern piece up. When we do that, we're going to get some distortion that we need to smooth out. I'm going to find a nice curve that's going to unite these nicely and smoothly. I basically shaved off about 1/8 of an inch, which for me is sort of negligible. And so now this has been shortened, but in this area, and when we walk the seams again, match them one on top of each other. If this was transparent paper, you would see it better, but I'm doing my best here. Now you can see this area matches exactly the original bust apex, so I'm just gonna cross out this line so it's not confusing. So basically this dot that we had originally, this line is gonna match the original line there. We've taken that 3/8 of an inch away at this area, and then when we keep lining it up to the bottom, it's gonna line up here at the bottom. So we've taken 3/8 of an inch length away from the center front in this area, but we haven't modified the side seam. So that's in essence what a small bust adjustment does. The small bust adjustment will reduce the width, it will reduce the length, and that's what's gonna match the smaller volume of the bust cup size from a B to an A cup. We focused here on princess seams that come from here, from the armhole. If you have a princess seam that comes from the shoulder, then I would just do that line sort of where the notch of the armhole would be there. I'm putting a little diagram there. That is the only difference. All the rest you would do the same. It would be exactly the same as what we've done here. It's just that instead of doing the line up to this point right there like I did here, you would do it on the actual armhole, because your side front will include part of the shoulder right here. That is the only difference, but otherwise it would be the same. Now after we've done our small bust adjustment on our princess seam, you see that we've removed an amount from the waist. If you're just taking it one cup size less from a B to an A, you removed 1/2 an inch from your pattern at the waist. So that means you've removed a whole inch at the waist. Maybe that's something that you need. Maybe you have a smaller waist and that amount that you removed is okay and it's going to be fine for you. In that case, because there's a bodice coming underneath, you should remove that amount from the skirt piece. They will match and your bodice is not not smaller than your skirt. But if you have a larger waist size in comparison to your bust, if you are more of a straight figure, then you might need that waist back like it used to be. So it's much easier to do with princess seams because you have two pieces to play with. You have two seams instead of one. When you just have a full front, you just have a side seam to adapt. Here you have this princess seam and the side seam. So it's pretty easy to fix and get back to the original, or even add a little more if you need it, or you can just keep it with the 1/2 inch less that was generated with the small bust adjustment. So let's see. Here on this area, we've removed 1/2 inch from the waist. If you need that, then that's fine. But if you needed that 1/2 inch for your waist, then just go ahead and add it on the side seam, or add it on these two seams in small increments in the same way I've shown you how to do it with the full bust adjustment. So 1/2 inch, it's nothing. You know, you could add 1/8 inch here, 1/8 inch there. That would give you an extra 1/4 inch. Then you can add 1/8 inch there and 1/8 inch to the side back piece and have your 1/2 inch added back on. Or you can just do it on this seam or just do it on that seam, but it should be easy to adjust. Now, if you don't want that 1/2 inch there, then you need to remember to modify your skirt piece and take away that 1/2 inch from the skirt as well, so it matches the new waist here. I hope this was helpful. If you have a smaller bust cup size and you're struggling, this will definitely help. Make a test version, practice a few times, you'll get the hang of it, and then this is something that you can do really quickly to your patterns, and then you can have a better fit on your makes. I think one of the goals of sewing for ourselves is not only to choose the best fabrics and the styles that we like, but it's also to learn how to customize the fit, because no one can do that better than you. You have your body with you all the time. You have a mirror, you can play, you can try on test garments and pin little things. You can really customize, and I think that is the best thing about sewing, because we can get garments that fit our unique bodies, and I think that is amazing. You can always come back here and watch this several times. You know, whatever your scenario is, if you think you need a small bust adjustment, I think knowing both the full and the small bust adjustment is really going to help you, because it's just opposite scenarios. I think sometimes looking at the opposites can really help understand one topic, even though you're more focused on one. I hope this was helpful. I know less people watch these types of videos at first, but over time, these are the types of videos that sort of people enjoy coming back to. So I hope this is really useful. I think princess seams are beautiful. I really love styles that have them. That's all from me. I'll see you again very soon with some sewing. Bye.